So my clock now turns to 1:45, so I'm able to start everything. I welcome everybody in our Corona times virtual conference and also at the Institute's colloquium Funde und Forschungen, Finds and Research, and very much especially welcome Roland Hardenberg, the director of the Leo Frobenius Institute, who came to us this evening virtually, but he came to talk about different perspectives on resources, some methodological and theoretical considerations. His lecture is a part of our ReSoc conference, and ReSoc possibly to introduce is Resources in Societies, a project, a collaborative project we did together with the German Mining Museum and the RUB University. And before starting Roland Hardenberg's lecture, you may apologize me that I give some introduction to the project itself. So I will start with some considerations and later then, of course, we'll introduce our speaker. So in today's political debate, raw materials and resources play an increasingly important role. It is a mostly highly economized debate that is conducted with regard to the accessibility, the safeguarding of raw materials, as well as of the shareholder value of deposits assessments. This debate obscures the view that raw materials and resources deeply are thought in cultural categories. Their use results from needs and technical knowledge that people have acquired in dealing with their environment. Resources are therefore much more than useful raw materials. They reflect the social and cultural practice of people and are thus an expression of a multi-layered process of appropriation, which as such is embedded in various cultural, social and environmental transformations. And especially our speaker from today, Roland Hardenberg, he has done a lot of his research on such a topic and bridging the very narrow-minded, I would say, approach to raw materials in an economic way to widen it to a cultural sphere. And I'm sure you will learn a lot about from his lecture. These aspects were also in the center of our project, Resources in Societies. And Resources in Societies is not a pure research, or was not a pure research project. It also was a project, as we call a postdoctorate school. And therefore, I may allowed to give you some ideas. So it was the idea to, of course, broaden our perspective on resources, also to prepare further collaborative work. It was also an idea to work on a foundation of systematic collaborative work on resources in future, and especially it was to establish a postdoctorate school to enable qualification and further scientific development of scholars, young scholars, starting with their academic career. And as a part of this project, 6 postdoc projects in the field of archaeology, economics, archaeometallurgy, and mining archaeology were supported. As part of the project, the postdocs were able to choose different career paths and deepen them through the work at the DBM, at the RUB University, and also at the partner institutes. Many of them have chosen a career path in science. For instance, Maya Gori, who continued her projects on early metal times, especially in the ADRA field, the Zetima phenomenon. This was not her first postdoc. She came to us over various steps from the Sorbonne, from Heidelberg, and now already left us to join the National Research Council of Italy, but still is very much combined with our project. And I'm very glad that Maya still is with us, because she did a lot of work also in organizing the conference. Matteo Cattisani, whom you see also came from Nottingham as a successor in the middle of the corona pandemic, and tries above all to look at the economic and social conditions again in the 3rd millennium in Sicily. Peter Thomas, whom you see here, has expanded his expertise in mining archaeology and carried out projects, especially in Transylvania and the Carpathian Basin. And Gary Su, Yu Kang Shu, came to us from Oxford, and his research focus is on the metals and the exchange in Eurasia and China. Within the FLAME project, he worked in Oxford, and then he brought his expertise to us. And on a more theoretical level, a methodological level, we had also scholars like Frederick Schaff and Arne Windler. Both of them expanded the relationship of questions and methods of economics and brought it also to the cultural scientists field. And for example, Frederick and his colleagues worked especially on agent-based modeling and also translated it to archaeological questions or cultural historian questions. Especially he worked on the Anasazi in the southwestern United States. And Arne Windler, who also left us now for Berlin, got involved in preparation of an exhibition and joined the path of a museum curator within our special postdoctoral school. You do see we had a broad combination of young scholars, and this gave us a lot of inspiration, a lot of ideas, and made the postdocs and also the ReSoc time a fruitful one. At the end, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to our principal investigators, Michael Roos, Sabine Klein, Constanze von Rüden, of course, also to our advisory board, of whom also in which also Mr. Roland Hardenberg was involved, but also Susan Pollock, Frank Hillebrand, and Mark Pierce, who also is with us this evening, which I'm very grateful for. And of course, we deserve and we got a lot of support and encouraging criticism from them, and we're very thankful for that. And of course, I also want to thank Petra Eisenach, who gave us a lot of support in administrative and also scientific coordination of the project. Some words possibly for the project, for the conference. As many of you should know, the conference now is, because of Corona, divided in 4 different sessions, and we decided not to over-expand our screening times. So to say, we divided it in 4 parts, 2 of which we will have tomorrow and on Saturday morning. It's on the session Life Worlds and Skills Embodiment and the Growth of Knowledge. You will find all the information on the web page, and you can join whenever you like to. The second part and the third final part will be held on the Friday the 11th and on Friday the 15th of January. And then we will round up everything in a big round table and try, of course, then to outline also questions for a following publication. But now it's enough of my talk. I just want still only say some words to our guest, Roland Hardenberg. And Roland Hardenberg is, of course, he is well known in Westphalia as he is born here. He was born in Münster and started to study there ethnology, modern history, political science, and South Asian studies. In the late 80s and 90s, also at Oxford and on the Freie University of Berlin till the mid of the 90s. Then he moved also to other institutes, especially after his PhD, to the South Asian Institute in Heidelberg, where he did his habilitation 2006 about children on the earth, goddess, society, marriage, and sacrifice in the highlands of Orissa. And you do see he has his resource approach basically came from these studies, from his ritual ethnography studies. And he, first of all, he turned to this resources topic, especially from immaterial approaches. In 2009, he followed the call of a We Free professorship at the Department of Ethnology at the Ebert Kreis University in Tübingen, where he did a lot of teaching and research, and he spearheaded during that time and started the collaborative research center Ressourcenkulturen at the University of Tübingen. And I would say he was in those days especially the spiritus rector in theoretical and methodological debates on that Ressourcenkulturen, which for the first time especially gave focus also for archaeologists, which is a good thing, to non-material aspects of the resources. He developed a cultural scientific approach to resources and developed also concepts as resource complexes, resource cultures, and so on. Roland deals with currently he deals with social cultural processes in Asia and Europe, especially also which I know from his studies is Kazakhstan, for instance, and Kyrgyzstan, where I got my first attention to him. In his well-known research, he pays special attention to religious institutions, I said it already, and practices for which actors shape and change the world within the framework of competitive normative orders. In his research, he strives also for interdisciplinary cooperation. This is a thing which I very much enjoy, because the old connection between ethnology, archaeology, anthropology often is forgotten in the modern research, comes up now again, and he is one of these colleagues who always also look to the material worlds that for us as archaeologists is so important. His current projects are, for instance, the perception of landscapes in Spain, with religious speeches in South and Central Asia, and which I like, of course, most, with cultural resources in Iran. And there we find, as again in our recent and current Iran projects. Recent also interest shifts now, and this is interesting, shifts him more from the immaterial resources, so it's vice versa to the archaeologists. He now starts also collaborative work on grain sources, especially millet. And this is, I guess, also for our agrobotanists in the Institute most interesting. So Roland then, after his time in Tübingen, shifted to the Leo Frobenius Institute of Cultural Anthropological Research at the University of Frankfurt, whose director he is since January 1st, 2017. And perhaps some words to the Leo Frobenius Institute, which is really a well-known, big and important center for ethnological research, also for empirical research. And I have to say, it was he informed me now that he has the important picture collections, especially on rock art from Africa, started being collected by Leo Frobenius, is now to be valued as a possible world document heritage. And I wish you, Roland, and your institute most success in applying for this title, because I know that this picture collection is a is a worldwide heritage of greatest importance. But now, let's say I spoke enough, and I'm very glad now to hear Roland Hardenberg. And yeah, Roland, it's your stage.